Well, cheers, I do buckaroos. I think I'm the beer whisperer. So anyway, once again, this year, here's my hypocrisy in the bottle. Once again, the Bourbon County Stout, Goose Island. Um, well, here's my hypocrisy. Well, I mean, it is what it is these days. However, let me answer those questions, though. Even though I'm taking ownership for my hypocrisy, I have said that it is an overrated, overhyped macro, masquerading as a craft. It is those things. I stand by those words. um, and I never said I wouldn't buy it. I just said I would not stand in line for it, and I did not. However, I will acknowledge that most of those folks standing in line aren't necessarily standing in line for this. They're standing in line to get the variant. So there you go. Props to you guys. I just won't do it. I won't buy into hype. I think when we do that, we're giving these folks exactly what they want. All of these beers, anything you've got to stand in line for should be accessible. All they got to do is put it on the shelf. We're going to come get it. But they create this imaginary hype. So guys will run out there, or women, people will run out there and buy these beers and brag about, oh, look what I got. I paid way too much for something. And they're proud of it. I just won't do it. But there you go. Here's to you. Actually, I had no intention of buying this beer this year. However, again, I mean, it was about... well, it was almost, it was Black Friday this came out. It is long after this, so it's a good week plus. I found it in a store the other day and just sitting there on the shelf, minding its own business. So anyway, this particular incarnation is 14.7%. It is rather big. Quite frankly, I think what you're paying for now, which what irritates me, what you're paying for now is a nice, pretty bottle and the hype that they manufacture. And that's what bothers me the most. Because before AB InBev, well, before AB, let's just forget the InBev for now, but before AB purchased Goose Island, you can walk into a store and buy this. Not only could you walk into a store at any time and buy it, is when the new incarnation came out, you could buy that year, the year before, and sometimes the year before that. That's what frustrates me. I try to avoid any reviews for any beer before I've had it, but especially this one, because I don't want to be influenced. However, the beer guy at the store I bought it in, which he's pretty good, he just said he thought it was boozy. It's 14.7%. He thought it was boozy and could use at least a year's aging. However, although this guy does know his stuff, there is no doubt about it. When I've had conversations with him in the past, he does get to boozy before I do, before my particular tastes get to boozy. And I think a lot of that is, someone's own individual interpretation of what is and what isn't boozy. But here you go. The aromas, you can feel some alcohol in the nose. But when I use the word boozy, I mean it's off-putting. You got too much alcohol, it's off-putting. So I'm not going to use the word boozy to describe the aromas here. However, you can feel that there is alcohol in this beer. It is 14.7%. You should be able to tell there's alcohol in this. I get a lot of herbal notes, and I don't know if I'm supposed to or not, but I'm just telling you what my brain is interpreting these aromas as. And what I'm getting is sassafras and anise. I mean, there's other things going on. I get big roasted malt. I get a lot of very dark brown sugar molasses going on. But those herbal notes are unmistakable for me. I really get sassafras and anise from here. And quite frankly, it's the first two things that my brain said, sassafras and anise. And then I got to the molasses and everything else, but you really feel that in a great big way. I really feel some dark chocolate notes as well on the nose. Certain amount of sweetness. There's certainly some vanilla going on. Oh, wow. I was about to say, other than the vanilla, I'm not getting a lot of barrel notes, and then I took a drink. Then I took a drink, man. Yeah, for what lacks for me anyway, and again, this might be a little cold to real for those barrel notes to really pop out. What lacks on the nose, you make up for in the flavor. You do get a lot of those bourbon barrel notes on the taste. Now, several years ago, I had this, and I drank about a glass this size, and I liked it, and I did a video. But when I had the second glass, I didn't like it as much. By the time I worked through that bottle, I mean, it got increasingly hard to drink. It became way too sweet, way too cloyingly sweet. So sometimes I hate to get to a final judgment until I can get to the end. However, saying that, the big however is my initial reaction is, hell, it's freaking outstanding. And those of you that know me know I really hate to have to admit that, but yeah, man, it's pretty freaking outstanding. Then again, I mean, I love a big ABV. I do. I love a big ABV, especially this time of year. I love a great big monstrous imperial stout. What I love more than that is when it gets tossed in a bourbon barrel. Now, what I mentioned not wanting to stand in line or unwilling to stand in line. People want the variants, and some of the variants, the barley wine, for instance, would have interested me. But the coffee, this, that, and the other, I'm not interested in those flavors. I really want to go back, or I wish we could get back to imperial stouts in a bourbon barrel or a whiskey barrel of any kind without coconut, peanut butter, applesauce. I exaggerate for effect, but you get what I'm talking about. Is man, a beautifully done stout of any kind tossed in a whiskey barrel is gorgeous. They don't need those extra flavors because this beer, I get notes of chocolate, I get notes of coffee. I don't need you to toss those flavors in there to dilute the beer. That's what frustrates me. I gotta be honest, I'm really trying to hate this, but I don't. In fact, I kind of love it at the moment. And again, I may have to do an addendum later if it happens to me like that one time several years ago when I had it. When oh goodness, yeah, it got hard to drink, and that was about, I don't know, I can't remember the year now, but it was several years ago, maybe 15, might have been 15, I don't know. In my opinion, I don't think the beer is as consistent as it was before the AB buyout. That is my opinion. And I say, even though I really feel it's fact, I say opinion because, well, I can't prove that. I think if you talk to folks about my age that had it before the buyout and had it after the buyout, they're going to tell you the same thing unless they're getting free beer from AB InBev. Mm. So let me break down some flavors for you. I really talked about the aromas, but let me go into some of those flavors there. Again, it is, you know, I'm not going to go all the way to syrupy, but it's real close to syrupy. I mean, it's thick. It is. I mean, it's a 14.7% imperial stout. It's going to be big. It's going to be thick. It's going to be a little chewy. But yes, those herbal notes that I mentioned on the nose that were great big. I do feel in the flavor, but they play a minor role. They play a supporting role. But I do feel flavors of sassafras and anise. But I don't feel them as big as I do on the aroma. However, big flavors of big roasted barley. Again, the brown, I mentioned brown sugar, a very dark brown, molasses brown sugar. Heavily anyway, the flavors, I get a lot of molasses, I get a lot of very dark chocolate. I'm gonna say about an 80% dark chocolate. Slight notes of a very dark roast coffee as well. Everything comes together rather harmoniously, but running all through it from the very first bit on your tongue to the last finish, you really feel those barrel notes run all the way through it. That beautiful toasted oak, a little bit of that bourbon barrel char. And whereas I said before I had an incarnation that I felt was very cloyingly sweet and it just had too much sugar, you do feel that, but at the moment here, that toasted oak, those oak notes are really helping to dry it up so it doesn't linger too long. So yes, so my initial reaction about this beer, if anybody cares, if you're still with me 11 minutes in, is that, okay, I gotta admit, man, it's impressive. Do I wish I would have stood in line for the variants? Absolutely not. I won't do that. I'm a guy that loves craft beer. And I'm not in it for the hype. I don't buy it so I can brag about it on social media and show my friends, oh, look what bottles I got that I'm never going to share with you. That is not who I am. If I picked up a rare bottle by some fluke, I'm going to share it with you. That's why I don't have a beer cellar to speak of, because at some point I share everything. Because that's what beer is about. That's what good whiskey is about. It shouldn't be about bragging about the brands and flavors that you have. It should be about enjoying them and enjoying them with friends. And I wish we could get back to that, because that's what craft beer started out to be. I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, purveyor of wisdom. Man, I finished that rather self-righteous, didn't I? All around good guy. Cheers.